the second episode of Sourdough Central.
I'm Allison Snyder, and today I'm going to be making sourdough bread. What I do is, I have my starter that I took out of my discard container, and I'm going to be using a half a cup of that starter. It doesn't matter if it's fed or not. I've read that, and I have tried both ways, feeding a starter and waiting a couple hours till it's completely active and then using it, and also using one that hasn't been fed in a day, and I haven't seen a difference. So half a cup, doesn't have to be exact, and I put that in a bowl. And then this is just my recipe that I've gotten. There's some recipes call for more water, some recipes call for less. I kind of played around with it on my own. Half a cup of starter, and then 1 1/3 cups of water. So 1 1/3 cups of water. Add it to the starter. Mix it around until it's a cloudy consistency. It doesn't have to be completely dissolved, but just mix it around until the water's cloudy. And this is because it makes it easier to mix in with the flour. So mix that up, and I usually wear gloves, and you can do it with your hand. It's actually much easier if you do it with your hand. And then bread flour. I'm using a 2-cup measuring cup. And this does not have to be exact. I add 4 cups of water. That's just the one way I do it. 4 cups of flour. And then mix it around, and it's easier if you use your hands, if you have gloves, or you don't use gloves. Just have clean hands, but gloves better. You mix it around, and if you want to get it to a point where it's not completely soaking, but you want to make it to a point where all the flour is absorbed. But some say it should be shaggy, and then as the enzymes work, it makes the dough more wet as the water gets absorbed. But I will just add a little bit more water. And it can be just cold water or warm water. Not hot, you don't want to get too hot. And you just mix it together until it's, I'm gonna use my hands. Mix it together until it forms, and you have to possibly add more water. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. It just needs to be wet enough so that you don't feel like it's dry. It doesn't have to be completely soaking, but you don't want it completely dry either. You don't want flour bits on the bottom. So I'm gonna mix it up a little bit here and show you what I mean by that. So there's flour, see how there's flour bits on the bottom? You don't want that. You wanna make sure it's wet enough that the ball soaks up those flour bits. And when you make this, you'll understand what I'm talking about better. You wanna make it so that it's wet enough to form a ball. And like I said, you will read that you should leave it shaggy.
Mom, maybe you should tell them what shaggy means.
Shaggy means like this. Shaggy. I don't like that.
What kind of shaggy? Do you mean maybe it's like...
I just showed how it was, how it's shaggy. Anyways, you want it to be like this. It has to be a cohesive ball, but it doesn't have to be smooth or anything like perfect. Just wet enough to form a ball. Then I take this and I use a wet towel to cover it. You could just use a dry towel, but I found that using a wet towel keeps the dough moist and prevents it from getting a crust formed on top. So I just use a tea towel. You can use really any towel you want. I fold it up.
And if you're wondering why that's colored, I tie-dyed it.
I fold it up, and then I have these cover mate things that I use. They're disposable.
Which you can buy on.
You can buy it at Target or Amazon or whatever. But, and I cover up the towel. This keeps the moisture in. Then, what I usually will do is put it on warm, put my oven on warm, and then I'll set this bowl right here, and I will use this, you want to make sure it's between 72 and 88, 78 and 82 degrees is the best. If it gets too hot, it will kill the yeast, like 100 degrees, 120. You don't want to even get close to that. So I just like rest it here, or even on top of it, and I wait about an hour, and then I'll be back to show you how to do a stretch and fold, and what to do to make gluten start forming. So I will be back, okay? Take care. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.